We are 3 months away from the midterm elections here in South Carolina. Several seats, including the governor's, is up for grabs. Joining us this election year's Libertarian Gubernatorial candidate, Dr. Bruce Reeves. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
You are a studied and experienced pastor. You received your PhD in theology.
And doctorate in divinity.
Why politics?
We need Christian candidates, I think. I think people really, it's a lot of evil in the world right now. And we need people, you know, that are Christians, that want to sincerely get out. I see the youth in our community. I want to save them.
You know, when we think of races, we tend to think of two major parties, Republican and Democrat. You're running as a Libertarian, so maybe you can share with our audience what your philosophies are as a potential political figure.
Right now, I think we need to back off political parties. You know, the Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, that philosophy is not going to work anymore. We can't vote straight ticket, in my opinion. We got to vote for the person and what their policies are.
Sure.
And
what are your policies? What do you stand for?
Well, for instance, the 6 million people in the state of South Carolina can and they should have a say-so on decision making on certain issues. Like abortion, like, you know, people like to talk about marijuana or gun laws. Those, I would petition the General Assembly and put that policy, put that up to vote for the general public. And see, that's where I differ, whereas a legislator, you know, they don't allow the public to be involved. So the question is, how can we collectively resolve problems together?
So are you saying, when, let's just use abortion as an example, so there are camps of voters, there are camps of candidates who are strictly against abortion here in South Carolina. There are others that are strictly for pro-choice. So where would you fall within those two respective
That's
opinions?
a very good question. I'm glad you asked it. My position is, there's no yes or no answer to that. But there's a certain strategic approach. I would not take an all-out war on pregnant women. That's not the way to do it. But in this case, Governor McMaster has special session, you know, executive orders, and he's got everybody in his hand, and this is what he wants them to do. You can't scare and frighten the women with a baseball bat to do, you know, make that decision. That decision will, in my opinion, will be put out on the ballot. And then my policy would be junior high school, 7th grade, we're going to save our children. We're going to invest in our children. There'll be a curriculum, a policy that we must have courses to talk to our young men and women about life planning, about
it's
business.
It's a very crucial, very critical time in their life.
Yes.
7th grade. It's as they're leaving grade school, becoming teenagers, starting to see what adulthood is going to potentially look like. So now you're traveling around South Carolina. You've been making a lot of appearances in places. You're going to be heading down to Bluffton, Hilton Head. For people who want to learn more about your campaign, where do they go?
Well, you know, they can go to my website, you know, Bruce Reeves for Governor, you know. They can, and they can get on the website and they can read on it. They can be a volunteer. They can make a donation. And
there's potentially an opportunity for people to hear you debate this October at USC with other candidates. So we're going to keep our eyes peeled for that as well. Just briefly, can you tell us about your lieutenant governor, your running mate?
Oh, yeah. Well, Jessica Etheridge is a very nice young lady. She's out of Greenville. She's a wife, and she have 2 children. And her personality, you know, it fits it. You know, we need different type. We're not politicians. You know, our leadership would be family leadership, a team leadership. We're not going to take any rights away from people, away from women or whatever. And she's going to do very well because she's a down-to-earth, grassroots person, and her legal background that she has. She's working very hard.
Dr. Reeves, I want to thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Reeves, Libertarian candidate for Governor of South Carolina. Election's coming up November. It's going to be here before we know it. I want to thank you so much for sharing your policies and your ideas with us.
Thank you.
We're back after this.